job is fighting depression, your support and encouragement can play a big role in their recovery.
Counselor Heather Beer is here to talk about how you can support people that are often dealing with depression and give them back some hope. Good morning.
Good morning.
This is a tough one. I mean, when people are stuck there, it's hard sometimes to help get them out.
Yeah, and really, you can't. You know, that's their own process. But, you know, you may have heard the saying that living with a depressed person is depressing. I mean, that makes sense, right? Because it's just a really tough and hard and lonely and sometimes dark and angry road. But it can also be maddening and crazy-making and confusing and all kinds of other things that can elicit responses from us that maybe aren't helpful, or maybe we don't even know, you know, like what to do. So if I'm living with someone who's depressed and I am becoming angry with them and upset with them and demanding things from them, that's probably not going to be helping them along, you know. But because of the nature of the situation, people just don't know what to do. I just don't think that this is something that anybody has a script for. So being able to first recognize that the person that you're living with is depressed, I think, is a really key thing, because, I mean, we talked a few weeks ago about men and depression, and so often it's masked by other things, and, you know, kind of being checked out maybe on your phone, or gambling online, or staying at work, you know, extra, things like that, drinking too much. And so those things don't necessarily say to a person, oh, they're depressed, you know, it's like, and so there's all these confusing things going on. And so you might be upset with them for, you know, for all of these sometimes extreme behaviors that you see, or maybe just really kind of a deadness about them. Like, why aren't you're not yourself? Like, normally you're playing with the kids or whatever. And so to live with that and then not become depressed yourself or not become angry yourself is a really big deal. And so I think there's a lot of self-care that has to happen when you're living with a depressed person so that you can support them. Because if you're not taking good care of yourself and you're starting to fall, I mean, I think it's pretty easy to fall into a depression yourself if one of your loved ones is dealing with that, because I think people can blame themselves because you don't really know what's going on inside of a person's head unless they are really verbal and wanting to share about that, which really, you know, isn't a big thing, a typical thing. But to be able to see it, and then to be able to have some grace for it. You know, there's been a lot of talk about, you know, ending mental health stigma, you know, getting help and ending that stigma that keeps people from getting help. And I think that, you know, this is a big part. Like, so for the people who are living with a depressed person, because anxiety, you know, usually accompanies depression. Those things, I mean, we just heard about Kate Spade, you know, and the thing, you know, that the unfortunate ending of her life, and that depression and anxiety probably had something to do with that. To be able to say, I think that you need some help, in a way that's not blaming, in a way that's not shaming, you know, because people don't want to hear that. You know, you don't want to hear that.
So I haven't followed up really much in this Kate Spade situation, but if that was part of it, I mean, here's a woman that you think would have access to all the resources.
You would think, right.
So what was missing there?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, we may never know. It could be relational, it could be, I mean, who knows what, but what I read was that that depression and anxiety were something that she had struggled with, and that probably played a pretty big factor in the suicide.
Well, we'll continue to talk more about how we can try to support our loved ones who might be going through a difficult time when we come back.